The letter arrived on a Tuesday, slipped under the door of Emily Carter's cramped Brooklyn apartment. Its crisp envelope a stark contrast to the peeling paint of her reality. It promised a job personal assistant to a billionaire. No less, but it was the signature that stopped her heart, Elliot Kane. The name burned through her. A ghost from a past she'd buried under years of single motherhood and minimum-wage shifts. Emily's hands trembled as she tore it open. Her 5-year-old son, Noah, giggling over a bowl of cereal in the next room. She was 32, with chestnut hair perpetually tied back and eyes that carried too many sleepless nights. The letter was formal, offering a salary that could pull her out of debt, give Noah the life she dreamed of. But Elliot Kane, the man who'd vanished from her life a decade ago, leaving only whispers of his tech empire and a car accident that stole his legs. Her pulse raced. This wasn't just a job offer, it was a collision of her past and present. And she wasn't ready. She sank onto the couch, the letter crumpling in her grip. 10 years ago, Elliot had been her everything, her college love, her reckless dreamer, the one who'd promised her the stars before he disappeared without a word. Now, he was a billionaire, a paraplegic recluse who lived in a Manhattan penthouse. And he was asking for her. Why now? Why her? The questions clawed at her, but the stack of unpaid bills on the counter screamed louder. Noah deserved better than this life of scraping by. She'd go, she decided, but not for Elliot. For her son. The next morning, Emily stood outside Kane Tower, a glass monolith piercing the New York sky. Her thrift store blazer felt out of place among the suited elites brushing past her. She clutched her bag, her only armor, and stepped into the elevator. The ride to the 72nd floor was silent, save for the hum of her own nerves. When the doors opened, she expected a cold, corporate office. Instead, she found a penthouse that felt like a sanctuary, warm wood, soft light, and walls lined with books. And there, by a floor-to-ceiling window, was Elliot. He was older, sharper, his dark hair streaked with gray, but those piercing blue eyes hadn't changed. He sat in a sleek wheelchair, his hands folded over a tablet, his expression unreadable. "Emily," he said, his voice low, familiar, like a song she'd forgotten the words to. Her throat tightened. She wanted to scream, to demand answers for the years he'd left her in the dark. Instead, she straightened, forcing a professional smile. "Mr. Kane, I'm here about the job." He studied her, his gaze lingering too long, as if searching for the girl he'd once known. "It's not just a job," he said finally. "I need someone I can trust. Someone who knows me." The weight of his words hung between them, heavy with unspoken history. She wanted to ask what he meant, but Noah's face flashed in her mind, his gap-toothed grin, his endless questions. She couldn't afford to walk away. The job was simple on paper: manage Elliot's schedule, handle correspondence, and assist with his day-to-day needs. But nothing about Elliot Kane was simple. He was a tech mogul who'd built an empire on artificial intelligence, a man who'd revolutionized healthcare with neural implants, yet lived like a hermit, rarely leaving his penthouse. The world saw him as a genius. Emily saw a man haunted, his eyes carrying a grief she didn't understand. Their first week was a dance of tension. Emily arrived each morning, her heart a battlefield of old love and new resentment. Elliot was polite but distant, his instructions clipped, his smiles rare. Yet, there were moments when he'd pause mid-sentence, watching her organize his desk, or when he'd ask about Noah with a softness that felt too personal. She hated how her heart still skipped at his voice, how her body remembered him even when her mind screamed to forget. One evening, as rain lashed the penthouse windows, Elliot called her to his study. "I need you to read something," he said, handing her a leather-bound journal. Its pages were filled with his handwriting, sharp, precise, but trembling in places. It's personal, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. But I trust you. She hesitated, her fingers brushing the worn cover. This wasn't part of the job description, but the look in his eyes, vulnerable, almost desperate, pulled her in. She read the first entry aloud. June 12, 2015. I woke up in the hospital, and they told me I'd never walk again. But that wasn't the worst part. Her voice faltered. Elliot's accident. The one that changed everything. She glanced at him, his face shadowed, and kept reading. The journal wasn't just a record of his recovery, it was a confession. Of guilt. Of secrets. Of a love he'd never stopped carrying. Emily's breath caught as she reached a line about her. I left her because I wasn't enough. Not anymore. Her eyes stung, the words blurring. She looked up, ready to demand answers. But Elliot was already speaking. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you, he said, his voice raw. I left because I couldn't face you. Not like this. He gestured to the wheelchair, his hands shaking. I was broken, Emily. I didn't want you to see me that way. The room spun. 10 years of pain, of wondering why, crashed into her. She wanted to hate him, to walk away and never look back. But the journal, his voice, the way his eyes pleaded for forgiveness, it held her there. You don't get to decide what I can handle, she said, her voice breaking. You owed me the truth. He nodded, his jaw tight. I know. And there's more you need to know. About why I asked you here. Before he could continue, his phone buzzed a sharp, urgent sound. His face darkened as he answered, his voice dropping to a whisper. Emily caught fragments. The project. It's leaking. They know. When he hung up, he looked at her, his eyes fierce. Emily, this job, it's not just about me. It's about something bigger. Something dangerous. Her heart pounded. She'd come for a paycheck, for Noah's future. But now, standing in Elliot's world, she felt the edges of something vast and terrifying unfolding. What had she walked into? And why did it feel like the truth would change everything? Emily's nights became restless, her dreams a tangle of Elliot's voice and the cryptic words she'd overheard. She sat at her kitchen table, Noah asleep in the next room, the journal open before her. Its pages were a map of Elliot's soulless accident, his rise to wealth, his isolation. But there were gaps, entries that hinted at a secret project, coded references to Aurora and the breakthrough. She wanted to confront him, but each morning, she returned to the penthouse, her resolve weakened by the sight of him, vulnerable yet commanding, a man caught between genius and ghosts. Elliot's world was a paradox. The penthouse was a fortress of technology, voice-activated systems, holographic displays, yet he lived like a prisoner, his days structured around meetings he rarely attended in person. Emily's role grew beyond assistant. She became his confidant, his anchor. He'd ask her to read reports aloud, his eyes fixed on her as if her voice steadied him. She hated how it felt like old times, how her heart betrayed her with every shared glance. One afternoon, while organizing files, she found a locked drawer in his desk. Curiosity burned, but she pushed it aside until Elliot caught her staring. You want to know what's in there? He asked, his tone half challenging, half amused. She nodded, bracing for a rebuke. Instead, he handed her a key. Open it. But don't say I didn't warn you. Inside was a single flash drive, labeled Aurora. Her pulse quickened. What is it? She asked. Elliot's face tightened. The future, he said simply. Or the end of it, depending on who gets their hands on it. He wheeled closer, his voice low. Aurora is a neural interface, a way to connect the human mind to machines. It could cure paralysis, Alzheimer's, even death itself. But in the wrong hands. He trailed off, his eyes distant. Emily's mind raced. A technology like that could change the world or destroy it. She thought of Noah, of the life she wanted for him. Why tell me this? She asked. Elliot's gaze softened. Because I trust you. And because you're part of this now, whether you like it or not. His words sent a chill through her. She wasn't just an assistant anymore. She was a keeper of secrets, and the weight of it terrified her. That evening, as she left the penthouse, a man in a dark suit followed her. He kept his distance, but his presence was unmistakable, a shadow in the crowd, a glint of sunglasses in the subway. Her heart pounded as she clutched her bag, the flash drive burning a hole in her pocket. She hadn't meant to take it, but when Elliot turned away, her instincts had screamed to protect it. Now, she wasn't sure if she'd made a mistake. At home, Noah's laughter grounded her, but the fear lingered. She hid the drive in a tin box under her bed, telling herself it was temporary. But the next day, Elliot was different, tense, distracted. Did you take something from my desk? He asked, his voice sharp. Her stomach dropped. She wanted to confess, but the memory of the man in the suit stopped her. No, she lied, hating herself for it. Elliot didn't press, but the air between them shifted. Trust, once fragile, now felt like glass on the verge of shattering. She threw herself into work, hoping to rebuild it, but the penthouse felt like a pressure cooker. Phone calls came at odd hours, cryptic messages about breaches and containment. Emily overheard snippets: government contracts, rival corporations, a name, Dr. Lillian Voss, Elliot's former partner. Desperate for answers, Emily searched online. Voss was a neuroscientist, brilliant but disgraced, rumored to have stolen Kane Tech's early prototypes. Posts on X painted her as a visionary or a villain, depending on the source. Emily's gut twisted. Was Voss behind the man following her? Was Aurora the reason? One night, unable to sleep, Emily opened the journal again. A new entry, dated that week, stopped her cold. I should have told her everything. If they find her, it's on me. Her blood ran cold. Was her? She confronted Elliot the next morning, her voice shaking. Who's after me? What aren't you telling me? His face paled, but before he could answer, the penthouse alarms blurred a security breach. Elliot grabbed her hand, his grip surprisingly strong. We need to go? Now. He led her to a hidden elevator, its doors blending into the wall. As it descended, he spoke quickly. Aurora isn't just a project, it's my life's work. And it's why I'm still alive. The elevator opened to a basement lab, a maze of screens and humming machines. In the center was a prototype, a sleek headset pulsing with light. This, Elliot said, is what they're after. And now, they're after you. The lab's sterile glow felt like a trap, its hum drowning out Emily's racing thoughts. Elliot's hand lingered on hers, grounding her as panic clawed at her chest. Who's they? She demanded, pulling away. His eyes, usually so guarded, were raw with fear. People who want Aurora for power, not progress, he said. Voss. Her allies. Maybe others. He gestured to the headset, its lights pulsing like a heartbeat. This can rewrite the human mind. Imagine what governments, corporations, or worse could do with it. Emily's knees weakened. She'd taken the flash drive to protect it, but now she was a target. Why me? She whispered. Elliot's jaw tightened. Because I brought you into this. I thought I could keep you safe. His voice broke, and for a moment, she saw the boy she'd loved, not the billionaire. But the alarms above snapped her back. They were running out of time. Elliot wheeled to a console, typing furiously. Security feeds flickered on-screen, men in suits storming the penthouse. We need to move the prototype, he said. There's a safe house in Brooklyn. Can you drive? Emily nodded, adrenaline surging. She grabbed the headset, slipping it into her bag alongside the flash drive. Elliot's eyes flickered with something trust or desperation. Don't let them get it, he said. The escape was a blur. They took a service tunnel, emerging into a garage where a sleek SUV waited. Emily drove, her hands shaking on the wheel, while Elliot navigated from the passenger seat. The city blurred past, headlights cutting through the night. Turn left, he barked, glancing at his phone. They're tracking us. Her stomach lurched. The man in the soot'd been right to fear him. The safe house was a nondescript brownstone, its interior sparse but secure. Emily helped Elliot inside, her mind reeling. Noah was with her sister. Safe for now. But how long could that last? She set the headset on a table, its glow eerie in the dim room. Tell me everything, she said, her voice steel. Elliot sighed, running a hand through his hair. Aurora was my second chance, he began. After the accident, I thought my life was over. But Voss and we found a way to rebuild. Not just bodies, but minds. He explained how Aurora could restore memories, heal trauma, even enhance cognition. But Voss had wanted more control, domination. She'd betrayed him, leaking early designs to a rival group. Now, she was back, hunting the final prototype. I hid it from everyone, Elliot said. Even my own team. But I needed you to know. Because, he hesitated, his eyes locking onto hers. Because you're the only one I've ever trusted completely. Her heart twisted. She wanted to believe him, but the lies of the past stung too deeply. Before she could respond, a crash echoed outside. Glass shattered. Footsteps. Elliot grabbed her arm. Hide the prototype, he whispered. She stuffed it under a floorboard, her hands trembling, just as the door burst open. 3 men stormed in, led by a woman with sharp cheekbones and cold eyes, Lillian Voss. Elliot, she purred, her voice like ice. You've been busy. Her gaze flicked to Emily, a predator sizing up prey. And you must be the assistant. Hand it over. Emily's blood froze. She glanced at Elliot, his face a mask of defiance. She doesn't have it, he said. Voss smiled, chillingly calm. Then we'll take you both. Emily's mind raced. Noah's face flashed before her reason for everything. She couldn't let Voss win. In a split second, she lunged for a lamp, swinging it at the nearest man. Chaos erupted. Elliot shouted. Voss cursed. And Emily fought with a ferocity she didn't know she had. They escaped through a back door, but not before Voss's voice echoed after them. You can't hide forever, Emily. They fled to another safe house, this one in Queens, their breaths ragged. Elliot's hands shook as he checked security feeds. She's closer than I thought, he muttered. Emily's anger boiled over. You should have told me from the start. She snapped. I have a son, Elliot. A son. His face crumpled. I know. And I swear, I'll protect you both. But doubt gnawed at her. Could she trust him? The man who'd broken her heart, who'd dragged her into this nightmare. Yet, as he reached for her hand, his touch was steady, warm. We'll end this, he said. Together. She nodded, uncertain but resolute. For Noah. For herself. And maybe, just maybe, for the man she couldn't stop loving. The Queen's safe house was a cramped attic, its slanted ceiling pressing down on Emily's nerves. She paced, the headset and flash drive hidden in her bag, while Elliot worked on a laptop, his fingers flying. "I'm locking Voss out of our systems," he said, his voice taut. "But she's got resources, hackers, mercenaries. We're not safe yet." Emily's stomach churned. She'd fought off Voss's men, but the image of her son's face kept her grounded. She couldn't lose him to this. Elliot's eyes met hers, heavy with guilt. "I never meant for this to touch you," he said. "I thought I could keep Aurora contained." She wanted to scream, to demand why he'd chosen her for this job. But the truth was unraveling in his journal, in his glances, in the way he said her name. He still loved her. And God help her, she felt it to a pull that defied the years. The pain, the danger. They spent the night planning. Elliot revealed Aurora's final piece, a code that could activate the headset, stored on the flash drive. Without it, the prototype was useless. "That's why Voss wants you," he said. "She knows you have it." Emily's heart sank. She'd taken the drive on instinct, but now it was a ticking bomb. What happens if she gets it? She asked. Elliot's face darkened. She could control minds. Armies. Leaders. The world. The weight of it crushed her. She wasn't just fighting for Noah, now she was fighting for everyone. But doubt lingered. Elliot had kept secrets before. What else wasn't he telling her? She pushed the thought aside as he mapped out a plan, deliver the prototype to a trusted contact. A former colleague named Dr. Sam Rivera, who'd gone underground after Voss's betrayal. "He's in Boston," Elliot said. "If we can get Aurora to him, he'll destroy it." The journey to Boston was a gamble. Voss's men were everywhere, and Emily's face was now on their radar. They disguised themselves, Elliot in a hoodie, Emily in a baseball cap, and took a late-night train. The carriage was nearly empty, the hum of the tracks a fragile lullaby. Elliot's hand brushed hers, and for a moment, they were just two people, not a billionaire and a single mom caught in a conspiracy. "I never stopped thinking about you," he whispered. Her throat tightened. "Then why did you leave me?" she asked, her voice barely audible. He looked away, his jaw tight. "After the accident, I wasn't the man you loved. I was a shell. I thought letting you go was kindness." Tears stung her eyes. "It wasn't," she said. "It was cowardice." He nodded, accepting her words like a blow. "I know, and I'll spend my life making it right." His hand found hers, and she didn't pull away. Boston was cold, the streets slick with rain. They met Rivera in a dive bar, a wiry man with nervous eyes. He took one look at the headset and paled. "This is it?" he asked. Elliot nodded. "Destroy it." But before Rivera could respond, the bar's lights flickered. Emily's heart stopped. Voss. She'd found them. The attack was swift. Men in black swarmed the bar, guns drawn. Emily grabbed the headset, shoving it into her bag as Elliot wheeled toward the back exit. Rivera shouted, "Go. I'll hold them off." But as they fled, a gunshot rang out. Emily didn't look back, she couldn't. They stumbled into an alley, rain soaking them, her breath ragged. "We can't keep running," she gasped. Elliot's face was grim. "We won't. There's one place Voss won't look." He directed her to a cabin in Maine, a Kane family retreat he hadn't visited in years. The drive was silent, the weight of Rivera's sacrifice heavy between them. The cabin was rustic, hidden in a pine forest, its isolation both comfort and cage. Inside, Emily collapsed onto a couch, the headset in her lap. "What now?" she asked. Elliot's eyes burned with resolve. "We fight back. Aurora's too dangerous to exist. But first, we need to know who Voss is working for." He plugged the flash drive into a laptop, its screen illuminating the dark cabin. Files loaded schematics. Emails. Names. One stood out, Senator James Holt, a rising political star with ties to defense contractors. He's funding Voss, Elliot said, his voice cold. He wants Aurora for the military. Emily's blood ran cold. This was bigger than she'd imagined, a conspiracy that could reshape the world. As dawn broke, Elliot reached for her hand. I'm sorry, he said. For everything. She looked at him, the man who'd broken her heart and now held it together. We end this, she said. For Noah. For us. His smile was small, but real. For the first time, she believed they could. The main cabin creaked under the weight of silence, the forest outside a shield against the world. Emily sat by a window, the headset glowing faintly in her lap, while Elliot pored over the flash drive's files. Names, dates, transactions, a web of corruption linking Voss to Senator Holt and a shadowy group called Nexus. They're not just after Aurora, Elliot said, his voice low. They want to control it. To control us. Emily's stomach twisted. She thought of Noah, safe with her sister. But for how long? The files revealed Holt's plan: use Aurora to manipulate voters, soldiers, even world leaders. Voss was his weapon, her genius twisted by ambition. Emily's hands shook as she read an email from Voss. Kane's assistant is the key. She has the drive. Her breath caught. They knew. She'd been a pawn from the start, and now Noah was at risk. We need to stop them, she said, her voice fierce. Elliot nodded, but his eyes were heavy. There's something else, he said. Aurora, not just tech. It's personal. He wheeled closer, his voice barely above a whisper. After the accident, I used an early prototype on myself. To cope. To remember who I was. He tapped his temple. Part of me is still wired to it. If Voss gets the final code, she could control me. Emily's heart stopped. The man she loved wasn't just a target, was a weapon. Why didn't you tell me? She demanded. His face crumpled. I was ashamed. I'm not whole, Emily. Not without you. Tears welled, but she pushed them down. There was no time for this, not now. They needed a plan. Elliot suggested leaking the files to the press, exposing Holt and Nexus. But we need proof, he said. Something undeniable. The headset was their leverage, but using it meant risking everything. Emily thought of Noah's laugh, his tiny hand in hers. She'd do anything to protect him. They worked through the night, encrypting the files and contacting a journalist Elliot trusted, Sarah Chun. She was skeptical but intrigued, agreeing to meet in D.C. Bring the prototype, she said over a secure line. If this is real, it'll change everything. Emily's gut churned. D.C. was Holt's territory, and Voss was closing in. But they had no choice. The trip was tense, every shadow a threat. Emily drove, her eyes scanning the rearview mirror, while Elliot monitored security feeds on his phone. In D.C., they checked into a nondescript hotel, the headset hidden in a safe. Sarah arrived, her sharp eyes sizing them up. Show me, she said. Emily hesitated, then handed over the headset. Sarah's face lit up as she examined it. This could bring down empires, she whispered. But before they could transfer the files, the hotel's fire alarm blared. Emily's heart raced. It's her, she said, grabbing the headset. Elliot's face was grim. Run. They fled through a service exit, Sarah trailing behind. But Voss's men were waiting. A car screeched to a stop, blocking their path. Emily clutched the headset, her mind racing. She couldn't let it fall into their hands. In a split-second decision, she tossed the headset to Sarah. "Go," she shouted. Sarah hesitated, then sprinted into the night. Emily and Elliot faced the men, unarmed but defiant. Voss stepped forward, her smile venomous. "You're out of moves, Kane," she said. But Emily saw a flicker of doubt in her eyes. Sarah was gone, and with her, their only hope. Voss's men grabbed them, shoving them into a van. Emily's heart pounded, but she clung to one thought: Noah. She'd survive this for him. In the van, Elliot's hand found hers, his grip steady. "We're not done," he whispered. She nodded, drawing strength from his touch. They'd lost the headset, but the fight wasn't over. Not yet. As the van sped through D.C.'s streets, Emily's mind raced. Sarah had the prototype, but Voss had them. And the files. They were still on the flash drive, tucked in her pocket. She glanced at Elliot, his face set with determination. They'd find a way out. They had to for love, for truth, for a world worth saving. The van's interior was dark, the air thick with tension. Emily's wrists ached from the zip ties, but Elliot's steady breathing beside her kept her grounded. Voss sat across from them, her cold eyes glinting in the dim light. "You've been a nuisance," she said, her voice dripping with disdain. "But you'll give me what I want." Emily's heart pounded, the flash drive a secret weight in her pocket. She wouldn't break, not for Voss, not for anyone. Elliot leaned closer, his voice a whisper. "Sarah's out there. She'll expose them." His confidence sparked hope, but Emily knew the odds. They were in Voss's hands, and the journalist was alone with the headset. The van stopped at an abandoned warehouse, its walls echoing with the drip of water. Voss's men dragged them inside, tying them to chairs. "Where's the code?" Voss demanded, holding a tablet with Aurora schematics. Emily's mind raced. The flash drive held the activation code, but giving it up meant handing Voss the power to control minds, Elliot's included. "I don't have it," she lied, her voice steady. Voss's smile was razor-sharp. "We'll see." She nodded to a man who stepped forward, a syringe in hand. Emily's stomach dropped. "What is that?" she demanded. Voss's eyes gleamed. "Truth serum. Crude, but effective." Elliot's face paled. "Don't touch her," he growled, straining against his bonds. But the man ignored him, jabbing the needle into Emily's arm. Warmth spread through her, her thoughts fogging. She fought to focus, picturing Noah's face, his smile, his trust. "I don't know," she gasped, clinging to the lie. Voss's patience snapped. "Then we'll try Kane." Before she could move, a distant explosion shook the warehouse. Shouts erupted outside, followed by gunfire. Voss cursed, barking orders as her men scrambled. Emily's head spun, the serum clouding her senses. But she caught Elliot's eye. "Now," he mouthed. She didn't know how, but she trusted him. With a surge of adrenaline, she twisted her wrists, the zip ties cutting into her skin until one snapped. She lunged for Elliot, freeing him as chaos erupted. Smoke filled the warehouse. Someone had breached it. Sarah. The police. Emily didn't wait to find out. She grabbed Elliot's chair, pushing him toward an exit as Voss's men fired blindly. They stumbled into the night, the flash drive still safe. A black SUV screeched up, Sarah at the wheel. "Get in," she shouted. They piled in, Emily's heart racing as Sarah floored it. "I leaked the files," Sarah said, her voice triumphant. "Holt's name is all over X. The feds are moving in." Emily's relief was short-lived. Voss was still out there, and the headset was in Sarah's bag. We need to destroy it, Emily said. Elliot nodded, but his face was grim. It's not that simple. The Cody, it's tied to me. Back at a new safe housea motel outside D.C., they regrouped. Sarah's leak had sparked a firestorm. X-posts were exploding with speculation about Holt, Nexus, and Aurora. But Voss was a ghost. Her network too deep to collapse overnight. Emily's hands shook as she handed Elliot the flash drive. What do we do? She asked. He studied it, his expression unreadable. We activate it. But not for Voss. For me. Emily's breath caught. What does that mean? He looked at her, his eyes raw. Aurora can erase my connection to it. But it might change me. My memories. My feelings. Her heart twisted. The man she loved could lose himself to save the world. No, she whispered. There has to be another way. But Elliot's hand found hers, steady and warm. This is my redemption, Emily. For you. For us. Tears fell as she nodded. They set up the headset, its lights pulsing like a heartbeat. Sarah watched, her face tense, as Elliot connected it to his temple. If this works, he said, Voss loses her leverage. If it doesn't, he didn't finish. Emily squeezed his hand, her voice breaking. I'm here. I've always been here. The activation began, the headset humming. Elliot's eyes fluttered, his body tensing. Emily's heart pounded, fear and love warring within her. Would she lose him again? Or was this their chance to start over? The motel room was stifling, the headsets hum a relentless pulse in Emily's ears. Elliot's face contorted as the device worked, his breath shallow. She held his hand, her knuckles white, praying he'd come through. Sarah stood guard at the window, her phone buzzing with updates. Holt's arrest was trending on X. Nexus's offices raided. But Voss was still out there, a shadow waiting to strike. The headset beeped, its lights dimming. Elliot gasped, his eyes opening, unfocused. Emily. He whispered, his voice fragile. She squeezed his hand, tears streaming. I'm here. He blinked, disoriented, but alive. It worked, he said, his voice stronger. The connection's gone. Boss can't use me. Relief flooded Emily, but it was bittersweet. Had he lost more than the connection? Had he lost them? Sarah interrupted, her face grim. We've got company. Headlights flashed outside Voss's men, closing in. Emily's heart raced. They'd won a battle, but the war wasn't over. She grabbed the headset, shoving it into her bag with the flash drive. We need to move, she said. Elliot nodded, his eyes clearer now, but haunted. There's one place left, he said. My old lab. It's off the grid. They fled in Sarah's SUV, the night swallowing them as they drove to a rural Virginia facility, a relic from Kane Tech's early days. The lab was dusty, its equipment outdated, but secure. Emily helped Elliot inside, her mind reeling. The world was unraveling. Holt's downfall was global news, but Voss was a wild card. And the headset, now inactive, was still a prize. Inside, Elliot explained the final step: destroy the headset and the code. It's too dangerous, he said, even in the right hands. Emily agreed, but her heart ached. Aurora was his life's work, his second chance. Destroying it meant destroying a part of him. She touched his cheek, her voice soft. Are you sure? His smile was sad but certain. For you, I'm sure. They set to work, dismantling the headset circuits. Sarah uploaded the last of the files to X, ensuring the truth would outlive them. But as they worked, Emily noticed Elliot's hands trembling not from fear, but something else. "What's wrong?" she asked. He hesitated, then admitted. "The activation. It took more than I thought. My memory is theory fraying." Her heart stopped. "What do you mean?" His eyes met hers, raw with vulnerability. "I remember you, Emily. I always will. But the details are past. Our moments theory slipping." Tears fell as she grabbed his hands. "Then we'll make new ones," she said fiercely. "You don't get to leave me again." Before he could respond, the lab's alarms blared. Voss had found them. The doors rattled, voices shouting outside. Emily's pulse raced as she grabbed a crowbar, ready to fight. Elliot wheeled to a control panel, locking the facility down. "We end this now," he said. Sarah nodded, her phone ready to live stream their stand. If they went down, the world would see. Voss's voice crackled through an intercom. "Give me the code, Kane, or she dies." Emily's blood ran cold, but she stood tall. "You'll have to kill me first," she shouted. Elliot's eyes burned with pride. "That's my girl," he whispered. They braced for the fight. The headset's remains between them a symbol of their sacrifice, their love, their defiance. The lab's steel doors groaned under the assault, Voss's men hammering to break through. Emily gripped the crowbar, her heart pounding, while Elliot worked frantically at the control panel, rerouting power to seal the exits. Sarah live-streamed on X, her voice steady as she narrated. "This is the truth about Aurora, about power, about love." The world was watching, but Emily's world was here. Elliot, Noah, the fight for their future. The headset's remains lay scattered on a table, its circuits smashed. The flash drive was next. Emily handed it to Elliot, her eyes locked on his. "Do it," she said. He nodded, plugging it into a shredder. The device whirred, destroying the code that could have changed the world or ended it. But as the drive disintegrated, a memory hit Elliot's fraying mind, his fading past. She grabbed his hand. "You're enough," she said. "With or without the memories." He smiled, a spark of the man she'd loved. "I know." But the moment shattered as the doors burst open. Voss stormed in, flanked by two men, her eyes blazing. "You think you've won?" she spat, raising a gun. Emily stepped in front of Elliot, her voice fierce. "It's over, Lillian. The world knows." Voss's laugh was cold. "The world doesn't care." But Sarah's live stream was exploding, millions watching, X posts flooding with outrage. Voss's men hesitated, sensing the tide turning. Emily saw her chance. "You're done," she said, stepping closer, the crowbar raised. "Walk away." Voss's eyes narrowed, but before she could act, sirens wailed outside. The feds, alerted by Sarah's leak, were closing in. Voss's men bolted, but she stood her ground, her gun trained on Emily. "You're nothing," she hissed. "Just a single mom in over her head." Emily's blood boiled. "I'm everything to my son," she said, swinging the crowbar. It connected with Voss's arm, the gun clattering to the floor. Elliot grabbed it, his hands steady despite his fading memories. "Enough," he said, his voice commanding. Voss froze, her empire crumbling. The feds stormed in, cuffing Voss as she screamed threats. Emily collapsed beside Elliot, her body shaking. "It's over," she whispered. He nodded, his hand finding hers. "For now?" Sarah ended the stream, her face pale but triumphant. "You did it," she said. "The world knows the truth." Days later, Emily sat in her Brooklyn apartment, Noah on her lap, giggling as she read him a story. The news was ablaze with Holt's trial, Voss's arrest, and Nexus's collapse. Aurora was gone, its secrets buried. But Elliot's words haunted her. His memories were fading, a side effect of the headset's final activation. He'd moved to a quiet house upstate, needing space to rebuild. She visited him that weekend, Noah in tow. The house was simple, a far cry from the penthouse. But Elliot's smile was the same warm, real. "I may not remember everything," he said, ruffling Noah's hair, "but I remember how you make me feel." Emily's heart swelled. She'd lost him once, but not again. They'd build new memories, a new loved one grounded in truth, not secrets. As they sat together, watching Noah play in the grass, Emily felt a weight lift. She'd taken a job to save her son, but she'd found something more, a purpose, a partner, a chance to heal. The world had shaken, but they'd stood strong. And in that quiet moment, she knew love, not power, was the real breakthrough.